And what do you call it when you start losing fluid on your brain? A hangover. That's what a hangover is. Because when you are drinking alcohol, you are turning off ADH hormone. ADH hormone is the don't pee hormone. So if you turn off don't pee, what are you going to do? Pee more. Well, what are you peeing? Alcohol? No, you're peeing out pure water and replacing it with alcohol. Got it? And that makes you have less volume in your blood. And so all of your body cells, including your brain cells, will contribute their water to your blood vessels, shriveling up your brain cells. And that's why you have a hangover the next day, because your brain cells are dehydrated. Got it? They're shriveled up. 10-4. Of course, the lesson is don't drink. But if you must, have plenty of water in between drinks and stay hydrated. Because when you pee, you're peeing out water. Got it? Not the alcohol. All right. Where did we leave off last time? We were finishing up the eye, right? Did anybody try this over the weekend? Get in a dark room, flip the lights on for 1 second, and see? No? You did? Did you see anything?
You can see the outline of the thing.
Yeah, you can see the outline of whatever you're looking at in pink. Okay? Because that's what chemical? Rhodopsin. Because rhodo means rose colored. Got it? Rhodopsin. All right. And who uses those? The rods. There's your test question. Got it? Okay. Now, whenever we are turning one kind of message into another kind of message, this first message is light. Got it? Now it's being turned into a chemical message. Got it? And an electrical message. We call that transduction. That is changing the message. We're changing it, we're transforming it as we are conducting it. Got it? Sending it along its way. And that's what all of your special senses are doing. Taste, a chemical being turned into an electrical signal that your brain says, ooh, that tastes good. Got it? Okay. So, there's your tapetum lucidum like we saw today. This is what gives animals their night vision, because those are little chemicals in the back, little basically crystals that reflect the light back and forth. So even if it's a little bit of light, like just starlight or just moonlight, it's like daylight to them. Got it? But at the same time, headlights coming at them blind them. And that's why they tend to stop and go, what is this? Okay? Unfortunately, right in front of your car. All right, light adaptation. Well, what do we need to know? Obviously, if you are in low light, do your cones work? No, they work in bright light. That's why they work in sunlight. They work during the day, rods at night. 10-4, but that's nice how they work together. All right, depth perception. Depth perception is what gives you 3D vision, meaning you can tell I'm this far away from you and somebody else is closer to you. 10-4, that's very important for judging cars coming at you, for playing any kind of a sport that requires a ball. Think about it. If you can't judge how far that basket is, you're going to do air balls all the time, right? If you can't judge how fast that ball's coming over the plate, swing and a miss. 10-4. So that tennis is the same thing. You need depth perception. What gives that to us? Two eyes. Two eyes that overlap so we see the world from slightly different angles. And then your brain makes up the difference. 10-4. And that's why you might need 3D glasses to see the 3D tiger jumping at you. Notice that all these images are blue and red, but they're slightly off from each other. And that's because whenever you are making a 3D movie, you are actually filming it on two different cameras, and when you see it in the theater, it's projected on the screen from two different cameras, the blue and the yellow and the red. Got it? And your glasses will then separate them into two images that are slightly off from each other. And before you know it, you see Tarzan coming at you. 10-4. Now, these days we don't use the red and the blue. What we use is slits. So the new glasses have little tiny microscopic horizontal or vertical slits. Guess what? So did the cameras that filmed the original thing. And so do the projection cameras that projected on the screen. But just like your eyes look at the red or the blue, your eyes will look at the horizontal and the vertical. 10-4. And then your brain fills in. Oh, this is three-dimensional. 10-4. They've come a long way since they first came out with these red and white things, the red and blue things that came out for the first time in the 50s. And there were a lot of Frankenstein and Dracula movies where, in some scene, somebody's hand comes out and gets you. You got it? People go, oh, scary. Now it's really nice. You got three-dimensional rides like Tron and Avatar, some of that Disney, where it's almost seamless. Okay? All right. So that's your eyes. Now let's talk about taste and smell. All righty? Taste and smell have everything to do with what? Chemicals. It's you're smelling a chemical, you are tasting a chemical. Your eyes are seeing photons of light. All right? And guess what? That's the other place we have our bipolar neurons, in the nose. Got it? Right here, there's your olfactory nerve with the olfactory bulb that we saw earlier. There's your dura mater covering the brain. And these are your olfactory nerves coming through the olfactory foramina, the little holes right here in your ethmoid bone. Remember that? Well, if we look close up, look. These are bipolar neurons because the body's in the middle, axon and dendrite. Got it? So, that's what they do. And where do you smell it? In the nose. Got it? Your nose is picking up chemicals from the air, and that's exciting these neurons, which then send a message as an electrical signal through transduction. All right? Okay. What do we call these chemicals that we smell? Odorants. See the word odor in there? Okay. And look, we do it again. G protein, second messenger system. Alrighty? The odorant lands on a receptor. We then launch a G protein to create a second messenger, and that second messenger either opens a gate to let in sodium, potassium, or can go to your to the nucleus saying do something. Got it? But mostly it's opening up the gate to make an electrical action potential. Okay? So we're turning a chemical into an electrical action potential. But we use exactly the same G protein second messenger system that we've been using all along. Okay? For proteins that can't enter. All right. Taste. Where do we find that? And our taste buds. Our taste buds are in between these things that stick out of the surface of your tongue. They're called papilla. We have fungiform papilla that look like a mushroom head. We have filiform, pointed like the ends of a file. Okay? And then we have these big circles in a V shape. Look at the name, circumvallate. They're circles in a V shape, like a valley. Got it? And they're near the back of the tongue. This, if you pull your tongue all the way out, or use a tongue depressor, and the doctor says, say, ah, you can look on the back. That's your lingual tonsil on the back of your tongue, okay? Which is full of white blood cells designed to attack any bacteria that are trying to catch a ride with your sandwich. Does that make sense? Those are the tonsils on both sides of your uvula. Those are called your palatine tonsils, and then behind your nose, that's called the pharyngeal tonsils. 10-4. But that's what they do. They fight off bad guys. So in between these guys, are your taste buds. All right? Now, what are the 5 tastes that your tongue can taste?
Salt,
Salt,
sour,
Sweet.
sour,
Sweet.
sweet,
bitter.
bitter,
Umami.
and umami. Okay? Umami that good. Okay? Now, we know what's umami?
Meat, steak.
The taste of meat. Okay? Or you can exaggerate that with MSG, which is why MSG is added to a lot of Chinese food, right? To really enhance the flavor. Unfortunately, MSG is an artificial thing, monosodium glutamate, which is not necessarily good for us. Then for? So, but where on the tongue is the sweet?
Get that?
Don't we lick a lollipop with the front of our tongue? Don't we lick an ice cream cone with the front of our tongue? Makes perfect sense that that's where the intensity of sweet is. Got it? Salt is more on the sides. What's always in the back of your tongue? Bitter. Because guess what bitter means in nature? Poison. And if you're swallowing or getting ready to swallow some poison, do you want to swallow it or throw it up? Your gag reflex is back there too. Does that make sense? That's why, I guarantee you, put your finger down your throat and sit there and take it. You're going to be throwing up because your gag reflex is in the back of your tongue. Both the taste as well as the physical motion. Does that make sense? What are all medicines made out of that you and I would be taking?
Protein.
When was the last time you took some medicine and tasted it before you swallowed it? What's it taste like?
Kind of
Bitter. Because most medicines are made from plants that use alkaloids. What's alkaline? Base. Bases are bitter. To prevent animals or insects from eating their leaves, or eating their bark, or eating their stems. 10-4? Because if an insect bites it, goes, yeah, that's too bitter, maybe he'll go someplace else. 10-4? So what made us think that this bitter thing that we don't want to eat would be a help to us? Because the shaman, the medicine man, got it? The smart observing person in the tribe noticed rabbits never eat from this bush because it tastes bitter. But when the rabbit is sick or the rabbit is hurt, he observed it would drag itself along the ground and eat a couple of leaves, and the next day he's hopping around. There must be something in those leaves or the stems or whatever that has a medicinal property. So then he would try, and this is where dosage comes from. He'd find 3 villagers that are feeling sick, and he would say, okay, I want you to take 2 leaves and call me in the morning. And I want you to eat 4 leaves and call me in the morning. And I want you to eat 6 leaves and call me in the morning. Got it? The next day, you're still sick, you're better, and you're dead. So what did he just discover? 4 leaves is the proper dosage, 6 is too many, 2 is not enough. And that's been handed down from generation to generation since people kept records. Got it? That's where most of our medicine comes from. It comes from plant sources that were used by indigenous people. Got it? Now, do we still chop down those bushes and those trees and those leaves? No, we don't, because we can now artificially create those chemicals in the lab using oil. The oil is full of C's, H's, and O's, and that's what we got to do, put them together to form the 3-dimensional protein that is what we need. Got it? How does an aspirin taste?
Bitter.
Bitter. Got it? Where does aspirin come from? The bark of a willow tree, which grows here in the United States and in Europe. Alrighty? And how do we know? Because the native people, if they had a fever or they were in pain, would break a piece of bark off and just chew it all day. Got it? Anybody old enough to remember a TV show called Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman? Okay, my wife and daughter used to watch that all the time. To me, it was like, Little Hospital on the Prairie.
It was, yeah.
And it was more or less, what was that guy, her heartthrob, the guy with the long hair, the Indian? Oh, I love him. Yeah, anyway.
Them too.
And I know, that's why my daughters and my wife watch the show. And it's like, I'm going, this is making me sick. I go someplace and read a book. But what I thought was very interesting is every time she was in her clinic, and if somebody came with it, an arrow in them, or a bullet in them, or a hatchet in their head, once she fixed them up, she said, now take this prescription, go across the street to the pharmacy, and fill this prescription for willow bark tea. And that's because you take a piece of willow bark and you steep it in some hot water and you drink the chemical that came out of the willow bark. Well, guess what that is? Aspirin. Okay? Well, people didn't take long to realize you strip the bark off a tree, you kill the tree. And it takes 30 or 40 years for the tree to get big enough to have enough bark. So we keep cutting down all those trees and stripping them of their bark, we're going to run out of aspirin. So one day a young guy in college in Germany said, this summer I'm going to figure out how to make aspirin artificially, just using oil. Got it? C's, H's, and O's. And I'm going to figure out how to put it together to make aspirin. Well, by the end of the summer, he had created a white powder that was aspirin. And he was so excited, he went to his college professor and said, look, professor, I've done it. I've been able to make it. He says, no, it's impossible to imitate nature. So drop these notions and get back to school. He goes, no. I've got it. I think I can do this. I think we can make this aspirin. Will you join me? He goes, no. In fact, if you keep talking about making artificial aspirin, I'm going to have you removed from school. So they did. They fired his butt from college. Well, the kid said, I know I'm doing this right. So he invented the first artificially created aspirin. And it's still around. Guess what his last name was? Bayer.
Oh, okay.
That was his name. Okay? Something Heinrich Bayer or something. Got it? So, Bayer aspirin is still around, but it's the first artificially produced in a laboratory aspirin, which has the same medicinal properties and the same bitter taste as, willow bark. Does that make sense? So, ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, all these medicines that we've heard of and that I'm on come from medicinal plants. That's where they were first observed by very observant people in that village. And then we just simply extracted the chemicals out and tested each chemical that was in that plant. Oh, that's the one that's medicinal, and now we can artificially make that in the lab. But it's always an alkaloid, meaning like a base. Got it? And that's what poisons are. Ever heard of the poison dart frog? Why is he called the poison dart frog?
Skin has poison in it.
The skin exudes, it sweats a poison that is so poisonous that if you touch that frog, you would die. So the natives in South America, in the Amazon, they take a big leaf and they can grab that frog. And how do we know it's that frog? Because they're bright orange, bright blue. They're not green to blend in. They stand out. Why? Touch me, you die. See? Animals don't have to eat that too many times or lick it too many times to realize this makes me sick. Got it? So the brighter the color, the more it says, don't you dare touch me. Okay? So they take that and they wrap the leaf around it and carry it on their belt. Got it? So when they want to kill an animal with one of their blowguns, they take a big thorn off of a thorn tree and they take that pouch and then they just rub that thorn on the back of the frog, wrap the frog back up, put it in, boom. And as soon as it hits that monkey, for example, he's paralyzed, falls out of the tree. Dinner. Got it? But where did that poison come from? From the insects that guy eats. Where did they get the poison? From the plants they eat. See, there's a plant with a certain toxin, and all the other insects avoid it, but one insect has evolved with that plant, so it thrives on eating it. So now in its body, it's all poison. So when the frog eats it, it has evolved to incorporate that poison and not die from it. Isn't that amazing? We have that here in the United States. Ever heard of a monarch butterfly? A monarch butterfly is bright orange, saying, "Don't you touch me." And that's because what do their caterpillars eat? Milkweed. Ever heard of a milkweed? It's called a milkweed because when you break it in half, out comes this white liquid. It looks almost like milk, got it? But it's very bitter, and it's a weed, so that's why we eradicate it a lot of times on the sides of the roads. They're thinking of bringing it back because we're running out of monarch butterflies. But their caterpillars eat that milkweed with that toxin in it. They become toxic, and when they become butterflies, they become toxic, so birds leave them alone. And again, they're brightly colored to say, "Don't you touch me." All right? But isn't that cool? We need to understand nature more. In fact, what are they doing now? They're going into the Amazon, they're going to the bottom of the sea to try to find new medicines that might be in plants we've never tested before, sponges at the bottom of the sea that we've never tested before. They're looking for new antibiotics. Okay? In places like that. Isn't that cool? All right. See, there you go. That's a real taste bud. That's a fictionalized taste bud. But the chemicals go in here and they get transformed into the electrical signal that goes to your brain that said, that tastes like whatever. Got it? All right. See, there's your four. The bitter is alkaloids. Sour is acid. Got it? Vinegar is an acid. All right, and what do we call the chemicals that we taste? Tastants. What do we call the chemicals we smell? Odorants. Got it? So when Mr. Weber says cool name, huh? Think it's really on this? I'm telling you right now, there it is. Okay? All right, and again, G protein second messenger system. Okay. And where do we have which cranial nerves are for taste? 7 and 9, right? Okay. And it goes to your gustatory cortex, gusto, taste, which is where? In the insula. Remember that little inner lobe of your brain. All right, and there you go. Now, please be aware, taste is 80% smell. Think about it. Is there a taste bud for chocolate? Is there a taste bud for vanilla? Is there a taste bud for strawberry? But we taste those, don't we? Well, what we can only taste is sweet and sour and bitter and salt. Got it? So, what allows us to taste all these other things? The fact that our nose is right above our mouth. So our nose is helping. 80% of your taste is smell. How do we know this? Because if you've got a really bad cold and you're all stuffy, how does food taste?
Taste it, not taste it.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Because now the chemicals can't go to my nose. It's all clogged up. All right? Now, are there things that we like and dislike intensely when we're eating? Yes. And that's not just because of taste, but it could be because of these other things. For example, thermoreceptors. What would you rather drink or eat? A hot bowl of soup, drink a hot cocoa, or lukewarm soup and lukewarm cocoa? Because we like the thermoreceptors in our mouth say, oh, we like it when it's hot. Does that make sense? Same thing with, I'm going to say, please drink beer, but would you rather have a cold beer or a warm beer?
Cold.
Right. Now, what do they, in Europe, they can't believe we drink cold beers. They drink theirs room temperature. Okay? Go to a pub, give me a pint, it's room temperature. I'm going, yuck. Okay? All right. How about mechanoreceptors? How does the food feel in your mouth? I know
Texture.
plenty of Northerners who said, ugh, grits.
Yeah.
Tastes horrible. It's not the taste, they don't like the feel.
Texture.
Okay? Something else Northerners don't like. I say that because my daughter is married to a Northerner and everything he hates is south of the Mason-Dixon line. Can't stand, whatchamacallit, son of a gun, just in one ear and out the other. Okra.
Yeah, no.
It's too slimy. But the rest of us who grew up here eating it, going, that's great.
You're right.
Okay? Do you know that there's some people who think that watermelon tastes horrible? You Northerner, you.
I am.
Are you Northern?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just joking.
She from
I didn't realize, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
What part?
Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
But a lot of my family migrated
Yeah.
from here. So.
But I'm just saying, see how it's not the taste, it's how does it feel in your mouth? Got it? And if you're not used to it, you say, ugh, that's horrible. But it's not necessarily the taste. Okay? And who likes hot sauce? Who likes some jalapenos? Who likes a little red pepper? Who likes a little, wasabi? Me. But that's your nose, that's your pain receptor saying, ooh, I like a little pain in what I'm eating. 10-4? Without that little snap, it doesn't taste as good. Got it? All right. See, my mom's Indonesian, and so we always had sambal, which is red pepper paste, made from red peppers that you grew in the garden, and then you dry them, then you grind them up, and you add them to some vinegar and other things, and you make a paste out of it. So it's not like just the liquid sauce. See, I don't like Tabasco sauce because that's like 90% vinegar and a little bit of hot pepper. My mom's was like 90% hot pepper with a little bit of vinegar. It's called sambal, S-A-B-A-L. You can get it at Chinese stores or whatnot. There's a big one in Raleigh that my kids go to, and they get a bunch of Indonesian and Chinese stuff from there. And sambal is wonderful. And my granddaughter, we had a jar that my son got for me, and then our granddaughter came to visit last week. She ate the whole thing. She put it on everything. She's 13, but she finished up the whole jar. She took a whole spoonful, put it on her food. That's more than I can handle. All right. So, everybody got that? Nose and taste, easy breezy. Last part is the ear. All right? And the ear has two functions: hearing and balance. Got it? Hearing and equilibrium. All right, when you look at your ear, you'll see that this is the auditory canal, or the external auditory meatus. All right. As soon as that goes in here, here's an eardrum, the tympanic membrane, and 1, 2, 3 bones. Okay? The malleus, the mallet, the incus, and the stapes, the stirrup. This reminds somebody of the stirrup to put your foot in on a saddle for a horse. Got it? 1, 2, 3. That then pushes on an area called the vestibule full of liquid. That liquid goes around and around and around this coiled up tube called the cochlea. Inside the cochlea are nerves. See, that's the cochlear nerve where we hear from. And the vestibule has on it these semicircular canals which have liquid inside that let you know, am I leaning to the left, to the right, forward, backward? Am I going up in an elevator or down in an elevator? Got it? And so that's your vestibular nerve. But they both join together before they get to your brain, so that's number 8, your vestibulocochlear nerve. Got it? It's sensory, but it's two kinds of senses, equilibrium and hearing. Okay? All right. Your earlobe, okay, lobules, your whole ear is called a pinna. Okay? Exomeatus, we got that. We also have some what? Sebaceous glands on the inside making wax. You know, your earwax. What's that for? The cerumen is the earwax, ceruminous glands. Why do we have earwax in our ears? Because if they got too much, aren't you kind of like, what are you saying? Nature put it in there to attack, to do what?
to attach like dust or something.
Yeah, to attach dust and it wasn't go all the way in, but also to make the feet of insects get stuck so they don't crawl into your ear. Okay? Now, I didn't see this. Mr. Triana told me that he saw this on YouTube where this guy he came in to the doctor's office because I'm having difficulty hearing. So the doctor looked and, oh yeah, it's full of earwax. So you spray in some water, try to get the earwax out. So out comes the earwax out. Because wait a minute, something else in here. Took his tweezers and pulled out a big bug that had been sitting in his ear the whole time. How do you not know that? The thing is this big. How do you not feel that going in? I don't know. All right, so your eardrum is your tympanic membrane. Who was on the school band? Okay, what's a timpani? A type of drum. That's why we call your eardrum the tympanic membrane, because it means the drum. Okay, all right. After we solve this, okay? So just make sure you understand. Malleus, incus, stapes. 1, 2, 3. All right? Now let me ask you a question. There are 3 parts of nature. You have the liquid, the solid, and the gas, right? What's the 4th kind of dimension? Plasma, which is what the sun is made out of. That's liquid helium that is burning. Got it? And hydrogen that is burning. That's not going to happen down here. So we live in three areas, solid, liquid, and gas. Which one of those 3 is the most conducive for sound? Which one can I hear things best in? Air, water, or solids? Show of hands. Who says in the air? Okay. Who says in the water? Who says in solids? Nobody. Guess what the answer is? Solids. Okay. How far away can you hear somebody yell?
Couple hundred feet.
A half a mile. Got it? Ah! Got it? Not much further than that. How far away can whales talk to each other in the ocean?
Miles.
20 miles or more. With their the squeaking sounds, right? Okay. But how deep in the ground can animals hear an earthquake happening? 200 miles deep. That's why they can get jittery before an earthquake happens, because they can hear the rocks grinding against each other 200 miles deep. You and I can't hear that because the sound is too low. Just like our vision is very narrow, we can't see ultraviolet, we can't see infrared, well, we can't hear sounds above this range. That's why, or a dog whistle, right? Dogs can hear high pitch, but they can also hear very low pitch that you and I can't hear. That's what an earthquake is. Okay? Now, where do we find a lot of earthquakes? Where you have 2 tectonic plates that the continents are on, grinding against each other. They're either hitting each other going like this, that's called a mountain range, got it? Or they're splitting, that's called the Marianas Trench, and sometimes they shear across each other, got it? So a lot of that is happening in the Pacific, okay? And right along that are islands, like the Indonesian islands, the Japanese islands. You've heard of those things, right? That's why there's a lot of volcanoes there. Is there a couple of volcanoes in Hawaii? Because again, that's where those tectonic plates are coming together. Okay? And what do they use in Japan to give early warning that a earthquake is coming? Well, not everybody can have a dog. And we can't have dogs 24/7 up in apartment complexes and high-rise office buildings, 100 stories high. So guess what they use? Cockroaches. Just like you might have an aquarium with fish in it, they have aquariums with cockroaches in it. Why? Cockroaches can't hear anything, but man, the little feelers on their feet can feel. And when they start running around in their aquarium or their terrarium, earthquake is coming. So they keep an eye on what they do. Isn't that cool? What's one of the things that they do in Japan to make sure that their high-rise don't break down in an earthquake? What do we have? Joints. What's in between our joints? Fluid. Guess what? They have built high-rises, and at the bottom, there's a joint that's full of liquid. Allows the building to sway without falling over. If it's too rigid, it might go snap. But they literally have joints in the building that are full of a liquid that can handle the swaying of the building. Isn't that amazing? Who would have thought that up? But they just follow nature. They're following what our joints do. All right, really cool stuff. So, let me demonstrate for you, okay, that sound travels best through a solid. You ready? Where you're sitting, tap on your desk lightly. Okay, you can barely hear it, right? Now put your ear to your desk and tap lightly. Make your ear touch the desk. Doesn't that feel louder? Doesn't it sound louder? Because sound travels best through a solid. Who, when you were a kid, ever did 2 tin cans and a string? Okay, I know I did. First thing I learned that in school. I went, son of a gun, I'm going to do that. So, who wants to demonstrate that with me? Come on. I need somebody else. Come on. Slowly undo that so it doesn't get tangled. Okay. You're on one cup and you're on the other cup. Okay? All right, good. Now, you want to pull the string till it's tight. Now, don't pull it out of the cup. Got it? When the string is tight, it acts like a solid. When the string is loose, it acts more like a liquid. Got it? Okay, now pull it tight. Now you talk. Now you talk and you hear. Very slowly, very quietly. Can you hear him say something? Okay, now, did you hear what he said? No. Now you talk and you listen. Keep it tight, keep it tight. Got it? Now, put a slack in it and talk. You can you hear anything? Yeah, not as much. Got it? Now, pull it again. And now I'm going to hold it. Okay? Talk. Nothing. You know why? I'm picking up all the vibration. I'm not letting it go any further. Isn't that cool? So the 2 cans and a string, or 2 Dixie cups here, 2 Bojangles cups and a string works. Anybody else want to try? Hey, buddy. Okay. Oh, you want to do the twisting? Okay. We'll twist it around one of them because otherwise it'll get all knotted up. Okay? Solids carry sound better. That is why nature put 3 solid bones in your ear, called the ossicles, the smallest bones in your body. The malleus, the incus, and the stapes. Are you with me? Thank you, sir. Thank you for helping us. Does that make sense? Solids carry sound best. And that's like I said. This is the air. Then we enlarge the sound using solid bones. Okay, makes it louder. But can a solid bone move a nerve? No. So we then project it into a liquid in here, which will then move the nerves. And that's the sound that we hear. Got it? All right. Yeah, there you go. Okay. The liquid is called perilymph. And here we go. See? This is the vestibule. This is the cochlea. And off the vestibule are 3 semicircular canals. 3 canals. Let me get a model here. So for you guys in the back here to see. All right. And for those of you in the front here, are these 3 canals all in the same direction? No. This one up here is for left-right movement. This one here, forward-back, up-down movement and forward-backward movement. Got it? That's on purpose. Because see, inside is a liquid sloshing back and forth. On each end is a bulge. Got it? Each little bulge contains a nerve. There's a nerve ending. Got it? And that nerve is going to be influenced by the liquid sloshing into it. That bulge is called the cristae ampullaris. Got it? And when that liquid sloshes back and forth, it's going to stimulate that nerve to say, I'm going to the left, I'm going to the right. I'm moving up in the elevator, I'm moving down in the elevator. Got it? I'm moving forward, I'm moving backward. Does that make sense? It tells your brain what your body is doing so you can compensate for it. Then to maintain your equilibrium, your balance. Got it? Ever heard of disequilibrium? Where you're not balanced? Vertigo? The room is spinning. Is the room really spinning? No. But that's the message your brain is hearing. Your brain is being told the room is spinning, so you tend to not be able to walk in a straight line. Because you keep thinking the room is this way and that way. 10-4? All right. That same liquid that's going back and forth, telling us through our vestibular nerve that we are out of balance or in balance. We have another set of liquid. See this? This hollow space is called the utricle, and this hollow space is called the saccule. For your lab practical, US. U first, then S. Got it? United States. Got it? US. All right. This liquid here is in the cochlea. We're going to show you how the cochlea works in just a second. It's going to push up against little nerves. And that's going to give you a high pitch or a low pitch. Got it? So you can be hearing things. Got it? Now, these are all sensory nerves, aren't they? So they're sensory nerves. Do they have their somas on one end or in the middle? Remember, sensory is always in the middle. That's what this is. That's the ganglion for the vestibular nerve. Got it? Well, the ganglion for the cochlear nerve is more inside the cochlea, and I'll show you that in a second. See? Utricle and saccule. Got it? Cristae ampullaris. That's those nerve bulges here in the end. Okay. So let's take a look at the actual cochlea itself. And that's this model, which will also be on your lab practical. Here, if you guys want to grab a couple of them, might come in handy. Grab some over that side. Here's another one, you guys can have that one. And I'll just use this one. All right. Now, everybody see this model here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your cochlea is a series of tubes that go round and around. Okay? In fact, open your cochlea. See the tubes? They've painted them green, pink, and blue. Everybody see that? Here we are. The big one on top is called the scala vestibuli. The smaller one, scala tympani. And the one in the middle, scala media. Got it? 3 hollow spaces with fluid in it. 10-4. This little critter right here is called the organ of Corti. Dr. Corti is the one that discovered it. That's where hearing takes place. The organ of Corti. All right? So, and see how the nerve comes out? And what do we have here? The ganglion for your cochlea, it's called the spiral ganglia because it's twisted. Okay? Like a towel that's been wrung out. 10-4. So, can you see the spiral ganglia? Yeah, right here. See here where all the neurons are? Those little nerve bodies? That's your ganglia. 10-4? All right. What here? You know. See him. All right. See how the nerves are coming from here and going around to the ganglia, then it goes to the cochlear nerve? 10-4? Okay. So let's take a look at the organ of Corti up close. Let's look at the organ of Corti up close. Here we go. You have a picture? No. All right. These are called hair cells. Gee, I wonder why. Because they have little hairs on top. See them? Those little hairs are actually in little round tufts. Okay? And that's why those little hairs are called stereocilia. Got it? They're cilia because they get moved by the liquid that's going through that canal. Alright? And each one is attached to a nerve, one of your cochlear nerves. 10-4? Alright. Now, what is this? Do you see this one plate here on top? See this plate on top here? It's called the tectorial plate. Has anybody ever been to a loud concert and you hear beep ringing in your ears even after the concert's over? Or you have worked in the yard with a lawnmower. Beep after you finish lawnmower. If you don't use ear protection, guess what you're doing? Here are your stereocilia, and here's the tectorial membrane. Got it? As you have a loud noise, it beats the heck out of those cilia. And as long as those cilia are bent, they're sending a message that goes beep. Well, even after you stopped, aren't these hairs still bent? So it takes a while for them to straighten back up, and then the beeping goes away. They say that for every hour of hearing beep throughout your lifetime, you're going to lose an hour of hearing at the end. And that's why they say, wear ear protection. You know, people who are officially doing, yard work, with the blower, not hair dryer, but the blowers, and the machines, they always have those things on, don't they? Okay, the trouble is we tend to not to.
Right.
Had a student, she was like, Mr. Weber, I got a question for you. I'm going like, I'm right here in the room. Why are you yelling? I don't mean to yell, but I lost some of my hearing because I worked on the flight line at Shaw Air Force Base without putting on her thing. So she's like, in fact, I'm just screaming her head off every time there's a question.
My grandpa did that for 25 years.
Yeah.
You can't hear a thing now.
Exactly. Now, when you go to a concert, or if you watch a concert that is online, what does everybody have in their ears? Yeah, the artists all have this. Got it? Whether you're the drummer, whether you're the one that's singing, it's protection from all those gigantic 50-foot speakers that are all around them. Who doesn't have any protection? The audience that is, jiggling in front of those speakers. You're going to be deaf, okay? A lot of old-timey guys, AC/DC, you know what I'm talking about? Those guys that are rocking out back in the 70s, and they are deaf, completely Gonzville deaf. Because they were, playing in front of big speakers for many, 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 many years. But hey, so a little bit of beep, who cares? I just turned the sound up on my TV at home. Got it? But now they're to the point of, what'd you say? because they haven't. That's why they're insisting that all artists now ear protection. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter. You're the drummer in the back. You're still going to put that protection on. 10-4? And that's important because whatever damage gets done to a nerve is not going to regrow. Got it? Nerve damage is permanent damage. All right. So be careful. Keep talk to the hand. All right. I know. You guys even know who Dr. Evil is anymore, right? Oh, you do?
Yes.
All right. So what is sound? Sound is a wave. Amplitude is how high the waves get. When you're listening to sound, we consider it to be a wave like light waves when the sound makes the air compress together. Got it? That's the sound wave. Think about it. When your waves are going like this in the ocean, aren't they compressed to be higher? Then they're farther down, then they're compressed again. Same thing with sound. It just compresses air instead of water. Does that make sense? Okay. And it's those pressures hitting your tympanic membrane and make your membrane move, which then gets exaggerated in the solid bones, then it gets traveled through the liquid, of the copia. Let's take a look at a couple of words here. Have you ever heard of AM and FM radio? Okay, what does FM mean? Frequency modulation. What's AM? Amplitude. You see, you can't listen to an FM station while you're on AM. You can't listen to AM stations while you're on FM. It's two different kinds of waves. And here is the explanation. Each of these that come by is your frequency. How frequently do you go to the bathroom is how often, right? So frequency is how often a wave goes by. Which one is a higher frequency, red or blue?
Red.
Red. Red comes by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. The blue only came by 1, 2, 3 times in that allotted 0.035 seconds. Are you with me? So frequency, when you are on the FM dial, you're listening to stations that are coming in fast or slow. Got it? Frequency modulation. That's all you're doing. Faster, that's what the numbers mean. It's coming by faster, coming by slower. When you switch to AM, now you're listening to radio stations that have a taller wavelength or a shorter wavelength. Got it? Taller or shorter, not length, taller or shorter amplitude. Amplitude is height. Wavelength is distance. Height. Got it? So when you're on the AM dial, you're listening to longer, taller amplitudes or shorter. And of course, ever heard of a short wave radio? What are you listening to? These waves. Got it? That's what a short wave radio is. And we use these different things, these frequencies and these amplitudes, in all sorts of different ways. Got it? Look how many radio stations there are. Well, we're doing the same thing with microwaves, so we can have TV and internet and GPS on our phones, right? We're using different parts of a wavelength. Why do you think on an airplane they tell you, please put your cell phone on airplane mode? That means let's just use the amplitude or the frequency that airports talk to pilots with, so that it's not niner, we're coming in for a landing and they're picking up your soap opera you're watching. Would that be helpful? So that's what they mean by airplane mode. It cuts you out of the mode, the frequency and amplitude that an air tower uses to talk. Does that make sense? Now, if you watch those shoot 'em up movies, those espionage movies, like Under Siege and whatnot, the Navy SEALs have their own satellite phone with their own frequency. So nobody else can listen in on what the SEALs are up to. Does that make sense? And you think that's something? Every country has this. They use their own wavelengths and their own frequencies and whatnot, right? for special communications between the White House and Moscow. Got it? That you and I can't just butt into unless we have a machine that can do that. Ooh, okay. It's possible. You can buy a machine that can listen to all sorts of frequencies and all sorts of amplitudes. 10-4. And sometimes you might be able to break into somebody's cell phone network and hear what they're saying. All right. So, sound waves vibrate the tympanic membrane. The ossicles amplify the sound, because sounds are carried best through a solid. Then the pressure wave moves through the liquid perilymph in order to move the stereocilia, and that's sound. Got it? That's how we hear. See? The wave. And the wave goes along. Now, has anybody seen a movie with Bruce Willis called The Fifth Element? With that one Mila Jovovich, Multipass. Remember her? Okay. Do you remember near the end of the movie, they're at a concert where this blue alien lady is singing, right? She comes from a planet of singers or whatever. Got it? Sound is, that's why she can sing with multiple vocal cords or whatever the situation is. There's one thing that I thought was very interesting. Did you see coming out of her head? You know what that is? Her cochlea, not wrapped up. See, we have things sticking out of our head by 6 inches. But that would look kind of silly and be kind of difficult to put your head on a pillow, right? So what did nature do? Roll it up, stuck it inside your skull. That's all it is. It's as if we were to stretch out that tube, and all along that tube are nerves. Got it? All along that tube, to see high frequencies and short frequencies, high and low tones. Got it? But we've rolled this thing up instead of letting it stick out of our heads. 10-4, to allow us to hear what we can hear. Have you ever heard of a cochlear implant? Yeah. Now, with a cochlear implant, something is not working. Got it? And it's not just earwax. Got it? That you can take out. This is a nerve damage situation. Okay? And what we have to do, let me get to a cochlear here. All right. We have little nerves all along that can pick up frequencies. Well, guess what? A cochlear implant only has like 10 wires that can go into your cochlea. The cochlea is about that big. It's really quite small. We can't fit 100 wires in there. But each wire is designed to pick up a high, middle, or low frequency. 10-4? But we can only pick up, we stick those wires in here so it picks up one here, and one there. 10-4? So, when you are using a cochlear implant, yes, you can hear somebody talk, but everybody sounds the same like a robot because you don't have the inflections. You can't tell. Is this Lisa? Is this David? Is this Mary? Is this John? Got it? Because you don't have that ability anymore. Same thing with music. Music makes no sense to a person with a cochlear implant because you can't hear high and low sounds. 10-4? It's all kind of mechanical. Something else. Can they tell where you are when you're talking to them? No. Because they have one cochlear implant over here, which goes to a little machine that sits right here. That's where the sound comes in, and it just gets projected to this side of your head. That's what the cochlear implant is. 10-4? So they can't tell if you're behind them, beside them, or in front of them. That's why if you are talking to somebody, you want to make sure you get their attention. If they're not listening, if they're deaf, you got to get in front of them so they can partially lip read too. Now, how about a person who was perfectly fine with their sound until 40 or so, and all of a sudden nerve damage happened? Could be an autoimmune disease where your own white blood cells destroyed these hair cells, and now you were stone cold deaf. When you put in a cochlear implant, guess what? Any new person you talk to will sound like a robot. Got it? Any new music you listen to is like makes no sense. But a person who you know or music that you grew up on, when your ears were still working, your brain fills in the difference. They report that they can hear their mom's voice or their son's voice or their friend's voice. Because your brain, oh, that's Jesse? I know his voice. And so your brain fills in the memory. You know? Oh, that's an old AC/DC song? Your brain fills in the sound. And it almost sounds like, hey, what's the difference? Just like hearing. Okay? And you usually only get one cochlear implant because once you drill holes in your cochlea to put those wires in, you've destroyed the cochlea. So that's why they only do it on one side. Got it? It's rare to do it on both sides. Why? Because maybe 20 years from now, there'll be a better version and they can put that on this one. Does that make sense? You don't want to destroy both of them. Oops, sorry, you're stuck with 10 wires. Now we can put in 1,000 wires, you know? So that's why. You do one at a time. Oh, and is there a hole in your head, like in the Matrix, where you plug something in the back of your skull? No, there is no hole in your head at all. How does it work? Transduction. There is a magnet on the cochlear part that sticks to your skull, and there's another magnet on the inside of your skull that they put in there. And when the magnets, even though there's a bone between them, they send the electrical signal across the magnet. Got it? Yes, sir.
Have you seen the sunglasses
That have those
that
things?
have them on the sides, and
No.
it'll play music and it'll conduct from your head to your ears?
Amazing. Well, I know that the Navy SEALs have had things that conduct sound straight from your vocal cords, wraps around your neck, and when you talk, they can hear it. It was right there. So you don't talk very loud. Got it? Alrighty. Don't worry about the long and the short fibers. Okay. So if you have conduction depth problem, it's something with the sound getting to you, like earwax. Got it? Perforated eardrum. Maybe your ossicles aren't moving too well. Sensory neural means something wrong with your cochlear nerve itself. That's nerve damage. Okay? All right. Ever heard of tinnitus? Or sometimes pronounced tinnitus? That's the beep sound. Got it? That's tinnitus or tinnitus. Meniere syndrome, I'm probably mispronouncing it, but Meniere syndrome is the vertigo. Something is wrong with these semicircular canals and you're getting the message that the world is spinning around. Okay? Which has got to be troublesome. That's why people get nausea and vomiting. It's like you're on the ship going up and down all day long, all night long, even in the bed. Okay? Alrighty. Now, two things we need to know for our tests for sure. The two kinds of equilibrium that your ear helps us with. Number one is static. I'm standing straight up, or I'm standing here leaning to the left. I'm standing here leaning to the right. And then there is dynamic. I am moving to the left. I am moving to the right. Got it? Okay. And here's how we do it. The static part, I'm standing here, is run by these things. Otoliths, ear stones, ear rocks, these little crystals. Got it? And those crystals are sitting in a block of jelly. Got it? And underneath are nerves. So if these start to move to the left, that tells this nerve, I am leaning to the left. If they lean to the right, that nerve tells your brain, I'm leaning to the right. Does that make sense? So that is your static. Static means to stay. Okay? See how bending your head left or right makes those little stones move left or right? And they stimulate that nerve, your vestibular nerve, to say, for some reason, I'm leaning this way. Got it? Okay. And then the cristae ampularis, the thick part, is where the liquid sloshes this over. And again, it's going to go tell the nerve, hey, I am moving to the left. I'm moving to the right. Have you ever seen on those YouTube videos where they got people, and they start playing wiffle ball, and the first thing they do is they put the bat on the ground and they got to go around? Have you seen that? And what happens is they spin about 10 times and they get up. What do? They fall over. You know why? Because the liquid is still going around saying, hey, I'm moving to the left. Got it? So when you stop, your brain still gets the message, I'm moving to the left, so you exaggerate by falling over to the right. Got it? And they fall through a fence or fall into the pool or whatever else the video was about. Got it? Now, you know me. I'm a scientist at heart. So when I'm in middle school and I hear this kind of stuff, and one of the things they can also do, if you spin somebody around very fast and stop them, their eyes will keep moving. Because their eyes are still getting the message, I'm going around. Got it? Well, you can't see that in the mirror because when you look at yourself, when you look away, you don't see yourself anymore. Got it? So it looks like you're looking at yourself the whole time. So I said, well, gosh, how can I see that somebody's eyes are spinning? I know my best friend who lives next door has a little 4-year-old brother. I'm in middle school. I said, tell you what, come on over. We had some bar stools that spin around. You put the 4-year-old on the bar stool, spun him around real fast, and then stopped it. Got it? And his little eyes go boop, 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 boop. Of course, he was laughing his head off. He enjoyed it. He was part of the action. But yeah, then I could see it. Oh, okay. Because I never take face value what my teachers were teaching me. I said, I got to prove this to myself. All right? But I saw it. Got it? Have you noticed that when a person is spinning, and you're going to see this, when you get to the Winter Olympics, but when you're spinning around, do they go like this? No, they keep their head this way and then whip it around real fast. Have you noticed that? You whip your body spins, but you whip your head. Why? Because if you keep watching, then you're going to get nausea. You can't be watching. You look at one part, spin your body, and flip your head around real quick. Look at that same spot again. It takes training to do that. Then 4, because if you just watch the room go by, man, there you go. Got it? Does anybody feel that way when you're going on the Blue Ridge Parkway? It drives me crazy. So on the Blue Ridge Parkway, you go like this. You got S-curves. Every 100 feet, it seems like. And if I'm a passenger, I'm seeing too many things going past me, and I get a headache. So I always tell my wife, I have to drive this because I'm concentrating on the road, and I'm not seeing all the stuff going back and forth, side to side. But yes, it does affect me. I can't stand it. Boom. We're done. How's them apples? Everybody good?